Good evening, class, or good morning. This is chapter 4.1, plot points in a coordinate plane. And this chapter isn't very long, but very informational and very important for the rest of the chapter. Actually, it's chapter 4 and chapter 5, so very important. So on Monday, it's very important to bring graph paper to class as well. So let's talk about a coordinate plane first. So they have quadrants. So you can see right here, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay. So it says that if you extend the x and y axis to include negative numbers or values, you divide the coordinate plane into 4 regions called quadrants, labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we're used to seeing is this graph right here. And they're talking about if we extend it to include the negative numbers here. Okay, we break this up obviously into 4 quadrants. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that going in counterclockwise, okay, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. The main thing to notice in each quadrant is the values of the ordered pair. So this is an ordered pair. Okay, it's inside parentheses with 2 values, and it's going to be an x value and a y value. Okay, so this ordered pair will tell you which quadrant you will be in. So in quadrant 1, the x is a 3 and the y is a 5, and they're both positive. So we know in quadrant 1 that both values will be plus plus. Quadrant 2, here we have the x value as a negative and the y value as a positive. So if you have a x value of negative and a y value of positive, you are in the quadrant 2. Quadrant 3, if you notice, your x is negative and your y is negative. So both your values are negative, you're in quadrant 3. And then quadrant 4, 3, negative 5. We have a positive x but a negative y. So you're in quadrant 4. So very important to understand your ordered pair. Okay, I didn't put that word in here at all, but it's very important that you write that down, that this is an ordered pair, because that's how I will reference it in class. Another key term that's on this graph is the origin. Okay, 0, 0, automatically called the origin. Okay, so this red line going horizontally from left to right, okay, is the x-axis and the y-axis. So we can say to ourselves, 3, 5, you know, if I asked you to graph 3, 5, and we know that 3, 5 is right here, but 3, 5 would tell us that we need to start at our origin, and we go over 3, and then up 5. And then boom, that gives us our point right there. 3, 5. Okay, so you always go on the x-axis first, starting at the origin, whatever it tells you. Obviously, if it's a negative, 3, 5, you're going over negative 3 from the origin, and then up 5, and then you'd be in quadrant 2. Okay, so move along the x-axis first, horizontally, before you move to the y, okay, the y value. Also, let me get rid of some of this information real quick. Okay, so let's say we had a point, let's say I told you point 2, 0. So we'd go over 2, and we'd stay right there. So my point would be right there. Now, if I asked you which quadrant that is in, that's not in a quadrant, that is on the x-axis. Okay, so it's not on a quadrant, it's on the x-axis. So if it appears to be on the x-axis or the y-axis, if the ordered pair is there, for example, let's say we had this point right there, and I said that is 0, 6. Okay, so I don't move along the x-axis, but I go up 6. that is not in a quadrant, that is on the y-axis. Okay, very, very important that you understand that. That the quadrant must, the point, the ordered pair must exist inside the quadrant. If it's on a line, then it's either on the y-axis or the x-axis. So make sure you have all that information in your notebook. I'm going to check this. It's very important to have that. Okay, quadrants, understand the quadrants go in, counterclockwise, and understanding what the value of the ordered pair is in each of those quadrants. So here it says graph the function y equals 2x minus 1 with domain -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So first thing you're going to do is make a table. And I've created this table already for us. And domain automatically goes with the x value. Sorry about that. So the x value is the domain. Okay? So we have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So the y, which we call the range, because it's going to ask us about the range here in a second. I don't know why it keeps clicking over there. So what we're going to do is it's telling us that we need to find our range. We need to find our y value. We have our x value. They're giving it to us. They're giving us the domain of -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now we need to find our y. So we have to plug each of these values into the equation up here, y equals 2x minus 1. Okay, and sometimes, because there's a pattern here on the domain, on the x value, that there may be a pattern on the y value. So let's see here. So I showed you how to do the work for the first one. So you're using that same formula, y equals 2x minus 1. I plugged in -2, so 2 times -2 is -4, and -4 minus 1 is -5. So my ordered pair for this point right here is -2, -5. So go to -1. Y equals 2 times -1 minus 1. That is -2 minus 1, which equals -3. So I know that it's -1, -3. So 0, y equals 2 times 0 minus 1, which 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is -1. So our point here would be 0, -1. Okay, so if we look here, okay, it's increasing by 2. Increasing by 2. So we can automatically suggest that this value would be 1. So our value here would be 1, 1. And then when we plug 2 in, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3, because remember it goes up 2. So our value here would be 2, 3. So now it says to graph that. So graph all these ordered pairs here. So -2, -5. -3, -1, -3, 0, -1, 1, 1, and 2, 3. Okay, so I graphed those points, and then it says then identify the range of the function. Okay, so we are identifying that here. Here is identifying the range. We know that the range increases by 2. Don't know why it keeps doing that. Sorry guys. -5, -3, -1, 1, and 3. We've identified the range. That's what it looks like. You are plotting it after you're finished. Okay, so it's very important that you work with. Let me erase this real quick. There we go. So graph the function. So we understand that this is the function, and the domain is the x value, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, and then identify the range of the function. So the range of the function, okay, tell me the y values. Okay, so your homework, label the quadrant that each point lies in. So you're going to tell me, look at the point, -4, 5, tell me which quadrant that will fall in. So A, B, C, and D, and then 2, graph the function y equals -x plus 2 with domain -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, and then identify the range of the function. I apologize for the malfunctions of going back and forth between the slides. If you have any questions, please let me know. But it's extremely important, the terminology, the graph. I would copy that graph down that I had on that second slide to go back to. This whole thing should be in your notes with each of the key terms that are inside there. Okay, and ordered pair. Very important that you understand that's an ordered pair with x, y inside of the parentheses. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'll check your notes on Monday and we'll go over these key problems here. I hope you have a good rest of the weekend, and go Lions.